Welcome to the Hunt Fish Travel Podcast. I'm your hostess, Carrie Zilka, and in March, in April, and part of May, I shared some of my top turkey tips. While I am by no means an expert, as I've said, probably every single episode, I've learned a thing or two over the years, and I like sharing them, and I'm happy to share to hopefully save you guys some grief. Past tips can always be found at www.cz.net/categories/hunting tips. Now that we're coming to the end of the 2016 Turkey Hunting Tips series, I would like to ask you for a favor. If you found value in any of these tips or any of my episodes, please consider going to iTunes and leaving me a 5-star review. It really just helps let potential listeners know that you've enjoyed my show and that it's worth listening to. These 2 tips are bonus tips. Mike Adams and Red DeFoe from the Up North Journal podcast share their 2 top turkey hunting tips with you. So thank you for listening. And again, if you know any turkey hunters, be sure to share this episode with them. Until next year, here's to a big bird down. Take it away, boys.
Hey, it's Mike Adams from the Up North Journal. Carrie Z asked me what my favorite turkey tip was, or my go-to tip. I got a couple for you. The first one is, I call it the scolded hen. And what I mean by scolded hen is when I got birds that maybe are a little tight-lipped, that Tom's not talking, but I can hear the hen yelping, and it sounds like an older, mature hen that's not real high-pitched. You hear that basic, good, low hen yelp. I'll actually cut her off with my call. As soon as she starts to cut or to yelp, I'll give her one of these. I mean, as soon as she starts, I hit her with that real quick. Not real long, just 4 or 5 quick little yelps. And basically, it's almost like a kid talking back to their parents. And with an older hen, she's going to get mad. She's going to come right back at you again. And when she does, you come back with that same call again at her. Cut her right off again. But you should really have a call it's maybe higher pitched. The one I'm using here has that higher cadence. It's just the way it's built. So it sounds like a young hen. That hen's going to come charging in. She's going to come looking for you. I've had it happen several times. And about half the time, if she's got a tom with her, that tom's going to come falling right in with her. And if not, at least you've got a live decoy in the field in front of you that's putting around, trying to figure out where's this young little hen talking to me and talking back so I can kick her butt. It's just a great tactic that we like to use. It's been very beneficial for us. So give it a try in the field. And there's one other quick tip I want to give you when you're using decoys. This year we're using Montana decoys, their new 3D decoy. And I'm going to have their hen and their Jake with me this year. And putting that out, I like to run and gun. When I find my spot where I'm going to plant real quick, I'm going to pop one of them things out, probably the hen, maybe the Jake. I'm going to put them actually to my left-hand side and slightly behind me, 10, 15 yards, maybe a 45-degree angle off my left side because I'm a right-handed shooter. And what that's going to do is, man, it seems like every time you start calling and working a bird, they like to hang up at about that 50, 60-yard range. And I think what it is they're normally seeing those decoys that are 20 yards in front of you, and they're saying, hey, girl, come on over here. Nature says you're supposed to come to me, so here I am. And they puff up and they strut just outside that effective range. By putting it slightly behind you, it takes their focus away from where you're sitting, puts it on the actual decoy, and it's going to draw them just inside that shotgun range for you, because now that decoy is actually sitting slightly off to the side and behind you a little bit. And also point that decoy quartering away from you. So that way, if you know that bird's coming in from the front, he thinks that hen's walking away, might draw him in just that little bit extra as well. So that's my 2 quick tips for you here for turkey season. Hope you guys are successful out in the field. And it's Mike Adams from the Up North Journal.
Hey, Dan DeFoe here, Up North Journal. Carrie Z, great gal, has asked me to give you a turkey tip. And guess what? Here in Michigan, it's just about that turkey time, and I've got a tip for you. Decoy setup. Interesting. This year, I've got the Montana decoys. I've got the Jake, and I've got the hen. And the way I'm looking at, because they're 3D, the way I'm going to set these up this year, I took them out a couple weeks ago. Matter of fact, I had some time to get them out in the woods and kind of get a look at them and get the realistic feeling of how they are. 3D, the colors, they look really good out in the woods. But my setup, I'm kind of thinking about how I'm going to set it up. First tip, where am I going to be setting up in? I'm going to be setting up, I think, if I use the one spot, I'll be in hardwoods. So how am I going to set it up? I'll probably be shooting out of a blind. So I'm not too concerned as to where I put the decoys. If I was leaning against a tree out in the open, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But because I'm in a blind, I'm going to put them out at about 20 yards in front of me. The Jake may be a little bit closer to me than the hen because when I'm doing my calling, I want to get that Tom mad at that Jake. Usually he doesn't like him to be around, so he'll go after him. That is one setup you can do, have him straight out in front of you. I'm a right-handed shot, so another tip for you out there is if you put the decoys off to your left, is a good tip when you're running and gunning. You don't have that chance to sit in a blind. Get those decoys off to your left, because it's when you're right-handed shooting, that's a perfect setup. Plus, you can use the tree to get between you and the Tom if you know the Tom's going to be coming from that direction. Depending on where the Tom comes from, all bets could be off. Just remember, go slow. Another tip I got for you when I'm using my decoys when I'm field hunting. This is a good one that I like to use. I did it last year. We were set up on a field, and I took that decoy. And I wasn't in the middle of the field. I was on the edge of a field, but I was on the edge of a 2-track as well. And I kind of took that. I was using an Avian X last year, and we set it up at a point where you could see it from the 2-track and the field itself. So we were giving maximum amount of coverage of view for the turkey, because you know how good their eyesights are when they are out and about in a field. It just so happens we had 2 Toms come in from our right. We were able to get one, but there again, we were on the edge of the field. We weren't out in the middle of the field, but get those decoys maximum field of view if you're going to be using them, because the turkeys will pick them up at quite a distance. But those are kind of some of the tips that I got for you coming up for the turkey season. I hope they help. And once again, Dan from the Up North Journal.